This video is brought to you by Locked, starring Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins in the ultimate horror thriller. Only in theaters March 21st.
Do you think if you save poor Catherine, you could make them stop, don't you? You think if Catherine lives, you won't wake up in the dark ever again.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the horror movies that could theoretically take place in real life.
What actually happened at the school?
A bunch of crows attacked the school kids.
It's the end of the world.
Number 10, Saw.
What? Huh? This is what they do, man. They kidnap you and drug you. Before you know it, you're lying in a bathtub and your kidneys are on eBay.
This franchise got increasingly ridiculous, but man, that first movie really packs a punch. A dark and gritty thriller, Saw is one of the most influential movies of the 2000s, launching a mega franchise and the careers of both James Wan and Lee Wan-el. The success of the film can be largely attributed to its straightforward and effective story. Two guys are kidnapped and confined inside a dingy bathroom. If they want to survive, they need to resort to some extreme measures. While the series would eventually devolve into swinging pendulums and shotgun carousels, this movie is just two guys trapped in a room with nothing but a gun, a tape recorder, and a saw.
He doesn't want us to cut through our chains. He wants us to cut through our feet.
Number 9, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You can have dinner with us. You like head cheese. My brother makes it real good.
Serial killer Ed Gein might have inspired the story, but this film is entirely fictional. Of course, that doesn't mean it couldn't happen, and the opening crawl and crime scene footage cement the illusion that this could be a true crime story. Although today this Tobe Hooper joint is famous for its graphic and brutal violence, audiences were unprepared for the realistic portrayal of the senseless killings of these teens. Although we can't prove there are any cannibalistic families living in rural Texas, we can assure you that driving around in creepy towns and walking into random houses won't end well.
If I have any more fun today, I don't think I'm going to be able to take it.
Number 8, Jaws.
$10,000 for me by myself. For that you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
The fear of man-eating sharks, a trend started by Jaws, is a tad exaggerated, as there have only been roughly a dozen confirmed attacks by great white sharks in the United States since the film was released. However, this doesn't mean that you won't be eaten alive when swimming in the ocean. The open water has always been a terrifying place, as there are a multitude of things that can hurt or kill you. Steven Spielberg and his brilliant mechanical shark took this idea and ran with it, striking gold. Its quiet little town setting struck a chord with audiences, making sure they stayed out of the water forever.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Number 7, The Strangers.
I haven't heard a dog bark. Or a car pass. Nothing. Just us and them.
The Strangers not only covers the home invasion aspect, which has scared everyone at some point, but the possible danger of living in a seemingly quiet rural setting. While inspired by his own experiences and some true home invasion stories such as the Manson family murders, director Brian Bertino's original story shocked audiences with its brutal message. As we watch young couple James and Kristen slowly realize that the horror is all too real, as they are being terrorized by masked figures at their summer home, we also start to realize we could be next.
Why are you doing this to us?
Because you were home.
Number 6, Scream.
There are certain rules that one must abide by in order to successfully survive a horror movie.
While the improbable and ridiculous masked slasher craze died out in the 80s, the 90s became obsessed with true-to-life serial killers. We were also obsessed with blaming violent movies, music, and video games as the cause of real violence. Wes Craven saw this goldmine and gave us the modern classic Scream. This blood-soaked satire follows a group of teens obsessed with violent, over-the-top horror films. They end up becoming the victims of a masked killer that may be one of their own. Oh, and if you have any hope of surviving, you'd better be good at horror trivia.
Name the killer in Friday the 13th.
Jason! Jason! Jason!
I'm sorry. That's the wrong answer.
If terrifyingly possible horror movies are your thing, check out Locked from producer Sam Raimi.
My name is William. I'm the owner of this car.
What do you want?
Thou shalt not steal.
Starring Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins, Locked is the ultimate horror thriller. Only in theaters March 21st.
Hello, Eddie. You're in my car.
Number 5, The Last House on the Left.
Why don't you just lay back and enjoy being infuriated?
Zoom off, you male chauvinist dog.
The brutal realism of The Last House on the Left was so intense, the original poster and trailer kept reminding audiences it's only a movie. Once again, Wes Craven was ahead of his time in stoking fear in his audience, and while it may be only a movie, its real-life implications are disturbing. Who needs monsters and demons when you have a gang of perverted, demented criminals? Poor Mary and her friend learned the hard way not to talk to strangers. With the girls assaulted, beaten, and left for dead, Mary's family end up taking matters into their own hands in a bizarrely satisfying confrontation.
What's the trouble, Doc? Shut your filthy mouth.
Number 4, Psycho.
We have reason to believe that she came along this way, may have stopped in the area. Did she stop here?
Well, no one stopped here for a couple of weeks.
While the captured Norman Bates stares at us blankly, his mother's voice in his head lets us know he wouldn't even harm a fly. Up until Psycho, killers in cinema always had a strong motive, or they were simply brutal monsters. Norman Bates was an early depiction of mental illness, leading a psychopath to murder. Poor Norman was such a sweet young man, so innocent and polite. Nobody would expect that he's a peeping Tom, dresses up as his mother, and kills women while they shower. The true horror here is that none of us is safe from anyone, not even the nice boy next door.
If you want anything, just tap on the wall. I'll be in the office.
Thank you, Mr. Bates.
Norman Bates.
Number 3, When a Stranger Calls.
Hello,
Have you checked the children?
Dr. Mandrakis.
Urban legends make you squeamish for a reason. They're supposedly based on real events, and their job is to scare you into thinking this happened to a friend of a friend, and therefore could happen to you. When a Stranger Calls relies heavily on the urban legend of the babysitter being stalked by a killer inside the house, and succeeds in becoming a terrifying viewing experience for everyone. We watch as the innocent teenager is tormented by phone calls from a psychopath, children helpless in their beds, and we're reminded of how many times we've been home alone, not realizing someone could have been waiting for us upstairs.
Leave me alone! Jill, this is Sergeant Sacker. Listen to me. We've traced the call. It's coming from inside the house.
Number 2, Misery.
Misery's return?
I know you didn't mean it when you killed her, and now you'll make it right.
This movie offers us a more outlandish premise. A series of bad events and happenstance lead unlucky novelist Paul Sheldon to not only crash his car, but to be rescued, nursed back to health, and then held hostage by his #1 fan and deranged lunatic Annie Wilkes. And you might say to yourself that you're not a celebrity, but then you realise that almost everyone today can be found via social media. Being famous comes with its risks, and of course, Stephen King was thinking of his own status as a famous author when writing this, but any one of us could have a stalker watching us somewhere.
God, I love you.
Number 1, Funny Games.
Guten Tag. Bitte entschuldigen Sie die Störung. Ich komme von nebenan.
Home invasion has been covered in so many movies, and it certainly is a chilling experience, but it's a whole other level of horror when you invited the evil into your home. Director Michael Haneke gave us the perfect monster movie by introducing us to the calm and polite Peter and Paul. As they're welcomed into George and Anna's vacation home, they decide to have some mischievous fun, which includes torture, torment, mind games, and murder. The family is inevitably punished for their kindness and hospitality, and we're taught never to answer our door for anyone ever again.
Anne schickt mich. Heute Morgen sind überraschend Gäste gekommen und du lässt sie fragen, ob sie ihr mit ein paar Eiern aushelfen könnten.
Which of these horror scenarios would you least like to find yourself in? Let us know in the comments below.
I think it's crazy. What's crazy? All that blood and violence. I thought you were supposed to be the love generation.
This video is brought to you by Locked, starring Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins in the ultimate horror thriller. Only in theaters March 21st.